Happy Monday, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year for January the 16th. Was you hearing it backwards? Okay. Had his headphones on backwards. He was hearing everything backwards. He had dyslexic headphones there for a second.
I did.
Hate it when that happens. How are you, sir?
I am wonderful. How are you?
Good. Good weekend of football this weekend.
Man.
I thought really good games. I thought my boy Trevor had blown up, but he didn't. He came through.
Yeah, I mean
27-0 and come back.
Amazing comeback. You know, they in that game, what was it? The Chargers were driving and they had an open. The Herbert had an open receiver. It was up 24-0, I think. Had an open receiver in the end zone. He overshot him. They had to settle for a field goal. Could have been 31-0, but they came back and it was a heck of a performance for sure.
Coaching changes coming?
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I think probably tonight's game, you might see a coaching change, especially if Tampa loses. I would think. In fact, that's some of the rumors.
Not if Dallas loses.
I think they're what were they 12-5, 12-5. Do you make a change,
or do you go to the Steelers camp and say, "Hey, that's okay, buddy. You just keep."
No, I don't know. I think. If you're talking about the Steelers, I think if Tampa loses, then they switch up their coordinators, and Byron Leftwich will take the job as offensive coordinator, and they will dismiss Matt Canada. That's my opinion.
Okay.
So that would help.
You like that?
I do like that.
Okay.
I do like that.
Okay.
I would think that Tom Brady has probably rubbed off on Byron Leftwich quite a bit the last couple of years.
Does that mean Tom Brady will go to Pittsburgh?
No, I think Tom Brady's either going to retire or go to the Raiders, in my opinion. Maybe Miami. I don't know.
Well, one of the things you're right, Milton. And of all the teams that I watched this weekend that I felt like were the real deal, Mr. Insignificant, Mr. Irrelevant in the San Francisco 49ers, because I'm going to tell you something. It doesn't matter who's driving that boat. They just win, baby.
Yeah.
And one of the topics I want to talk about
they were
tonight,
Seattle was playing pretty well for them in the first half.
One of the things I want to talk about tonight, and that's another good example right there. How many quarterbacks become a totally different player under a different coach? Sam Darnold's a great example, just at the Carolina Panthers. San Francisco doesn't matter who's back there. Kirk D. Cousins went to Minnesota and had a stellar year.
Yeah, has had a pretty good career. Just can't win playoff
What's
games.
his name? Giants.
Oh, Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones. Another
coaches.
one. Yeah. I mean, so I've always said that it's a combination of things, and I didn't hear it because I was working
Daniel
on
Jones
something else.
Daniel Jones is a free agent.
I was working on something else, and I didn't hear everything that Cowherd said, but he was talking about Mike McCarthy with Dak Prescott has a better record in the same stretch than he had with Aaron Rodgers when he was with the Packers. And you wonder where's the disconnect? Where's the problem? Now, me and Four, we discussed it heatedly the other morning about Aaron Rodgers, and I think he's whiny, and I don't. You heard too many players talking about I'm not throwing to rookie receivers. They drop it one time, I'm not throwing it to them again. And Four was like, that's what I do, but you can't do that. You ain't got that much time. You better figure it out and work together and get it done. I was trying to think there was another one too. I don't think I think Derek Carr is a better quarterback than he's shown because of all the turmoil that's been with the Raiders.
Yeah.
And then he didn't get along with who's the new head coach out there?
Josh McDaniels.
Josh McDaniels. I mean, he could be another one. I've heard the rumor he may be a candidate for Carolina.
It depends on who the coach is. And I have it. It started. I have some pretty good, I don't say sources, but I know
like
some
that.
people that know some people that think that Ben Johnson is the leading candidate, the offensive coordinator for the Lions.
For some reason, one of the stories I saw today was they would hire Steve Wilkes and try to get Ben Johnson as the offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Now, why would he make a lateral move?
He won't. There's another.
I wouldn't think so.
You got to go after a quarterback's coach. But my understanding is through a former teammate of mine at LR whose son played with Ben Johnson at Carolina, and they were suite mates or roommates back then. Both were walk-ons, and they're both in the coaching profession, that Ben Johnson is at the point now where he is already talking with people, putting together a staff if things should fall into place.
You know, as assistants move around and they have those head coaching aspirations and they've done well, they make those connections as time goes on. Now, let me give you this. Just came down. Jim Harbaugh, according to Adam Rittenberg, this was 40 minutes ago, will return as Michigan coach for the 2023 season after talking with NFL teams about a potential return for a second straight year. University president tweeted Monday that he had spoke to Harbaugh, who confirmed he would return for a ninth season at his alma mater. He's communicated the news to athletic director Ward Manuel. I love the relationships that I have at Michigan, coaches, staff, families, administrations, especially the players and their families. Harbaugh said in a statement, my heart is at the University of Michigan. I once heard a wise man say, don't try to out happy, go blue. So now
I know
that could always change.
And it does for him. I know he represents himself a lot. He doesn't have an agent, or at least has not. He has advisors, one of them being a former teammate of his with the Chicago Bears, Trace Armstrong, who's a big-time agent with a lot of the coaches out there, is stuff that I've read, that he puts feelers out there all the time, and he has over the last couple of 3 years, as you mentioned.
And, you know, in 9 years, he is 74-25.
I mean,
that's pretty good, the Big Ten.
Yeah.
I mean, it's taken a little time. Back-to-back Big Ten championships, wins over Ohio State, and the team's first 2 college football playoff appearances.
But he says a lot of that stuff. But you got to wonder, maybe some Michigan fans are wondering, is this act getting old in terms of him going out and trying to?
But if you were in his position, would you tell somebody, no, absolutely, I do not want to talk to you?
I mean, he had overtures with the Minnesota Vikings last year.
I've always said.
But
everything I got's for sale, except my wife and my kids, and might even have to talk about it. If right off come along. But I've listened to job offers
I know it's American
before.
way. I know it's the art of the negotiation. I understand. But I would just think, if I'm a Michigan person, I'm getting tired of the act of him going out and wooing other schools or other teams.
Is he, or are they wooing him? Now, it would be different if it was a college thing. But it's not a college thing with him. I mean, he could
come out and do the Mike Tomlin thing, and you never say never, never.
Okay. Well,
I do. Do I think that he'll get eventually back in the NFL? Yes.
He's only 59.
Yes, I do, because he had a bad experience that ended up with San Francisco, and I think he would try to want to get back, kind of like Pete Carroll did when he got fired a couple of times in the NFL with the Jets and the Patriots. That I think
I don't remember the Patriots, but I remember the Jets.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that was just before Bill?
It was before Bill.
Okay.
Yeah. He was the coach before Bill.
And I'm sorry. Harbaugh is says he's 74-25 as Michigan's coach, but he is 132-52 overall.
Yes.
Michigan, Stanford, San Diego.
Yeah.
I saw that and I said, well, did I read that wrong? And then also today on Cal Herd, Sean Payton was on there.
Yeah, and he said he's going to come to the Panthers for an interview.
And the Texans. and he would absolutely consider taking the Texans job. So
I would. That's a better job.
I don't know.
Do you think? Texas, being in Texas, and with the support, and with a high draft pick, and with the chance to develop a quarterback.
The ownership.
Well, they're both not stable.
I know that, but
What's the lure to come to Carolina?
To beat New Orleans, but he's got too good a relationship with New Orleans. I don't think that's.
Yeah, I mean,
money? He's another 59-year-old.
Yeah. Is that the only reason that you would come to Carolina is for he gets outbid? I mean,
don't know.
He doesn't have a quarterback.
He said right now that, and he said this on the show, he'd already talked to General Manager Mickey Loomis. If he does something this year, looking at a mid-low round first-round pick as compensation, because he's still New Orleans still owns his rights, I guess, as a coach.
Yeah, for the next 2 years.
Because he had years left on his contract.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would think if he really wants to get back and coach again, and I'm not a big fan, and I don't think it's a good idea. Well, I'll say a good idea. I just think you kind of question the coach's motives if they're just coming back just for the money. I go back to George Seifert when he got lured out of retirement to come back and coach the Panthers.
I don't think that Sean Payton is doing it for the money. I think Sean needed a break, and I think he wanted to go out with Drew.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
A Sean Payton fan?
I think he saw the writing on the wall that New Orleans was about to go down and have a couple of bad years. He bailed.
Milt says Lamar Jackson is most likely done with the Ravens.
Oh yeah,
I've got to agree. I never did buy that.
Unless they franchise him and then trade him. That's my guess.
And I heard that story today, but I'm not sure how that works. Stephen Lowe, good evening. I'm trying to think. It seemed like there's a caveat in there somewhere. But they would have to – they'd have to have somebody that was willing to pay that franchise price tag. That ain't cheap.
No, it's –
Isn't it the average of the top 5 quarterbacks?
It's
or
somewhere
like
between
that?
30 and 35, 37 million.
But it's an average of the top 5 players in your position or something like that on the first year.
Yeah.
And then the second year it's even more, and then I think he can do it 3 times. It's about the most he can do it.
Which teams need a quarterback at top of the draft?
But do you need him? I'll give you another example. The Miami Dolphins have come out and said, we're staying with Tua. He can't stay upright. Same thing with Lamar.
I'd be more concerned about Tua than I would be Lamar. And knee's a whole lot less, and he has a severe knee sprain. It's not an ACL. Than Tua, 3 concussions in 1 year. I'd be more concerned about Tua's career than I would be right now Lamar's. I don't know if Lamar's I don't know if his, I don't say cycle, but if his warranty, how long his warranty is up, because I don't know if his style of play is a lot like Cam Newton's. And I don't know how long that'll last.
Lamar?
Yeah.
It's not like Cam Newton. He ain't nearly that size.
No, I mean in terms of running the football.
He's not as fragile as Tua, but he's still fairly small.
Yeah,
I was never impressed with him at Louisville. I'm sorry.
He's got a different gear. He's a running quarterback. I think he's perfect for the system that the Ravens have installed. But if I'm Baltimore, I'm thinking, how much do I want to put up with all this mess? If I'm in the locker room, do I say, wait a minute, this guy is giving up on our season, and he's not even going to show up and stand on the sidelines?
Does that style last 17 games and 18 weeks post-playoffs?
No, it hasn't lasted.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
I've said before, the biggest attribute of a player is availability.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
I don't care about the speed, the quickness, how high can you jump, how strong you are. If you can't stay healthy to stay on the field week after week, doesn't matter how good any of those skills are.
Mm-hmm. Talking about franchise tagging, do the Giants franchise tag Daniel Jones and pay him $30 million for 1 year? Or do they renegotiate with him and multi-year deal? Because he's only proven it for less than 1 year.
To me, that would be based on a whole lot of input from Daboll and whoever the offensive coordinator is.
That was a funny name. I can't remember his real name.
Wink Martindale's the defensive guy.
He
right?
is, yeah.
It would be, I would put a whole lot of stock in what they said, because was this a fluke? Did you just put some pixie dust on him to get him through this year? Or is he a long-term solution for what we've accomplished this year, and can we build on this moving forward? I say he runs, but he can run. He's a bigger boy.
And he's big too, and I don't think he takes his kind of chances that even Josh Allen takes. Now, he doesn't have Josh Allen's arm.
Yes,
but
I
Josh
agree.
Allen is very haphazard the way he throws, gives up turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if Daniel Jones is that way. Seems to me he's a little bit more prudent with the football, and you got to take care of the football.
Is that his Duke background, you think?
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe was it Charlotte? Where did he go to school? Somewhere in Charlotte, one of the private schools.
Did he really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I think so.
I just knew he played Duke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Let me take a break. Come back, we'll talk more.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying goodbye to your favorite shirt that hasn't fit in 10 years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with Auto Owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver, or visit MooneyInsurance.com. Times convenience stores are more than convenient. They're your neighborhood store, your store. With locations in Lincoln, Catawba, Gaston, Iredell, and Mecklenburg counties, there's one near you. Times convenience stores have the right items at the right price, from snacks, cold drinks, and light meals from the grill, and there's always a special to save you time and money. Times has what you need. Times convenience stores, there's one near you. Regardless of where you're going, there's one on your way. Remember, there's always time to stop by Times. Have you thought about when you would like to retire? One of your major assets is planning for retirement is time, and you lose a little of it each day. The longer you wait to start accumulating capital for retirement, the harder it's going to be. How should you plan for retirement? Start by calculating approximately how much capital you will need at retirement, then estimate how much you will have to put away each year. Finally, carefully choose the investments in which you will invest. Stiefel Nicholas can assist you. Call Ford Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stiefel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
In the best of times, no one is more deserving of every opportunity, encouragement, and support than the youth in our communities. Parents, teachers, coaches, and sponsors struggle to stretch their budgets to continue help. Communities need a team effort. Times Oil Corporation, a longtime member of the community, established the Times Educational Alliance Mission, or Team Foundation. Since 2011, over $125,000 in grants have been donated in the community. Times Oil and the Team Foundation are proud to be community partners.
And welcome back. Cool today, but not as cool as it was last week. I was a little under the weather last week. I did not feel good. I had a little bug. Don't like being sicky sick.
And you don't know how you picked up the bug, do you?
Just a lot of mess going around. And then I basically just kind of stayed in Friday and over the weekend. So if I did have a bug, just didn't want to give it to anybody, and it was a nice excuse to lay around and do absolutely nothing except watch football.
Absolutely.
And it was a great weekend of football. Milton just posted, and I've heard this, and so many people, are you buying the Bengals?
No.
Okay. He said that Cincinnati's down to a backup offensive line.
Yeah.
I know they were losing some key pieces.
Their left tackle blew out his kneecap.
I saw
not his
that.
knee. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and their whole entire right side, guard and tackle, were hurt, and they were in the backups there. So 3 of their 5 starters.
Mm-hmm.
And they had the same issue last year, and they went all the way to the Super Bowl, and they rebuilt their line in the offseason with draft picks and free agent signings. But, I mean, and I know they play each other so many times, and they know each other within the division, that AFC North.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think Cincinnati may have enough firepower offensively. Buffalo's defensive front's pretty good,
You
every
buying
bit
Burrow?
as good.
You buying Burrow?
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Okay.
Yeah, he and Chase. I mean, they have really good receiving core. I mean, Higgins is outstanding. Tyler Boyd is an excellent receiver. Like to see him in the black and gold someday. He's from the Pittsburgh area, went to Clareton. But I think the Bengals have some major questions along the offensive line, and you got to keep him upright. And he was taking a beating yesterday.
Yeah.
And took a beating last year, too.
Yeah.
And that's going to eventually catch up with him. You just can't have your franchise quarterback getting knocked down 50, 60, 70 times a season.
I've said this before, and I say this a lot, and I don't know if anybody listens to me or
you're married. Everybody
believes.
listens to you. And you got
yes.
kids.
Yeah,
they all listen to you.
Absolutely.
You're just not sure if they're hearing you.
They listen. They just don't listen. That's the way that works. And I watched this yesterday. I'm just not convinced. Let's see. Where's my little calculator here? Let me do some quick math.
When you say not convinced, does that mean you don't trust?
I'm not convinced that some of the things that the league does or says that it does is because it really is the case, or they're just afraid not to challenge it or do it differently. And what I'm saying is, and the reason I had to do this, 1,696 active players on the roster. That's 53 times 32. Okay, 53-man roster. They travel with less than that, don't they, like 48 or something?
No, I think it's 53.
Okay, and then you've got 12, 14 on the practice squad.
Yeah, 15.
Whatever. But, okay, $1,700.
Well, the practice squad, they make a couple $100,000.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, though, here's my point. I'm not buying the fact that those are the absolute best only 1,700 players that can play on the level needed to play in the NFL. And the reason I say that, freaking Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant. Sometimes I think GMs, scouting departments, whatever, get so caught up, and you'll know what I'm saying here, they get so caught up instead of trying to do what's right, they just want to make sure I don't screw this up and cost my job. So they go with the sure bets, the safe bets. And sometimes they'll keep a player that's maybe 75% due to age and injury, is to swap that out and go with something else. And I think that's why the league, this may not be the best word, the league has become fragile, in my opinion. It is a violent, horrific, physical game out there.
Mm-hmm.
And once that body starts breaking down with injuries, you don't last long because you don't get a chance to heal and heal properly.
No, you don't.
And everybody doesn't heal
But that's
properly.
always been the case.
What have I told you? We ain't going to do it just because that's what we've always done.
But, I mean, and then players then decide, the ones that are hurt, they then decide, okay, how am I going to keep my job? I can't look over my shoulder. If someone's gaining.
But they don't give them an opportunity. I'll give you another example. This one will ring right home with you. Why did Kyle Duggar get an opportunity?
His numbers.
He shouldn't have got an opportunity. He was a little old Division II school.
That has nothing to do with it anymore.
I understand, but there's more. I believe
they
there's
look at
more
numbers.
I believe,
it.
but I believe there's more talent out there like that. I'm not saying another 40%, but I'm saying I can't imagine there's not another 1,500 players across the nation in all three divisions, or as Link said, USFL, that have some players that are totally healthy that couldn't be at the same level as a guy that, is held together with baling twine and duct tape.
Well, that guy you're talking about that are stuck together with duct tape, as you said, they've been through the systems and they understand the systems. They know the playbook and whatever you want. They can't bring in somebody that doesn't know the playbook. Or smart enough to pick up on the concepts, because your off season is not as you don't have a whole lot of time. Once you get drafted and whatnot, if you sign as a free agent, you don't have a whole lot of time to learn the playbook.
But as the coaching ranks evolve, younger, maybe more collegiate-like approaches, does that open the door for some more players to come in and play?
Nah, I don't think so.
I guess what I'm saying is I argue with Keever all the time because I don't like the sissy rules for the quarterbacks, okay? And he says, do you want to see a third-string practice player starting because you've let them beat the crap out of your starting quarterback, or do you want to see that quarterback in there playing?
Absolutely.
Okay, I get that. Why does that not apply to all positions?
Because it's a quarterback position.
I get it, but to me it should be the same way. If and I'm not saying I want more rules to protect it. I'm just saying for the same reason I don't want to see the players go out and not finish the season because they're so banged up, and a lot of them start the season banged up. I don't know how you fix it. I just know that for somebody like Keever that says, I don't want to watch that kind of quarterback play, I don't want to watch this kind of NFL play when you finally get to the end and the war of attrition has won because you're out of bodies, because the starter and the backup have a history of injuries and they just can't make it.
Well, then cut back on the number of games you play, and that's not going to happen either.
Right.
Go back to 16 or 14 games in a season and play.
I don't think that. I think it's more. I think it's larger rosters. And if,
that's a possibility. I like that. That's a possibility. I think this year, and I think I read a stat, there were talking about the quarterback position, there were somewhere between 80 and 90 guys that took snaps at quarterback this year in the NFL, an all-time high.
I think it was like 90.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like 87 late in the year, the last thing I read.
Yep.
And that's an all-time high. And the offenses were down this year. Scoring was down in the NFL for the first time in a couple of decades. And the running game has returned.
Yes.
Because I don't think teams have enough of the weapons outside and all the fancy, throw the ball deep and whatnot. So they said, what's the best way for us to compete and have a chance to win? Is to go back to running the football.
Right. Lincoln, good evening. Richie, good evening. But the other side of running the ball.
When you have third-string quarterbacks taking snaps, you're not going to put a whole lot on their plate, so you're going to say, okay, let me get another tight end in here or a fullback, and we're going to run the football. We're going to run the zone sweep or whatever.
What's the other reason that you run football? What does it do to the game? It shortens the game.
It does shorten the game, sure
because
does.
the clock's not stopped.
Yeah.
That game, was it the first game yesterday? Yeah. They had to push the second game back to 4:50 that was supposed to start at 4:30 or 4:25, and that was if it didn't go to overtime. They were scared it was going to go to overtime.
Yeah.
And they talked about that, and the reason was because too much clock stoppage. I want to see the game shortened, okay? I want more running clock.
Too many going out of bounds, too many incomplete passes.
Link said the Bills' first half was over 2 hours, the Bills game.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, that and an additional amount of advertising, too. They took a bunch of timeouts.
Split screen it.
TV. Oh, they do that, too?
I know, but that's the way it ought to be
Some
handled.
networks are better at it than others. You're right.
Keep the clock running and split screen it. Link said playbooks are not that complicated now, especially what they play in college and at all levels.
I agree.
That's yeah.
I agree.
And,
now, unless you are like San Francisco, their playbook is, I think, one of the most complicated in the NFL.
Yeah, but there's more and more coaches inside the league that have come from the similar trees or philosophies, so you see a lot of the same style at multiple franchises. Milton said, how many college walk-ons and undrafted free agents are there playing the game? A lot more than you would think. And that's kind of my point. Lincoln, this is not happening. Get rid of Thursday and Monday night games, cut the season back to 14 games a season, have a large roster.
Won't happen.
Well, it's not going to happen because once the genie's out of the bag, it's like if you ever have the state says, look, we're going to go with a 6-month quarter of a penny sales tax, just take care of this. It never comes off.
Yeah, it is never repealed.
No. And it's the same thing here. Yeah, you're right, Link. It's all about the money. I mean, it's just that simple.
You're talking about the quarterbacks. Do you think at some point that they, in this offseason, that the competition committee sits down and says, okay, we're going to make these calls reviewable? The roughing the quarterback calls.
Well, there were a couple of calls yesterday that they picked flags up on that I was kind of surprised, and it was I want to say a potential pass interference because the league had made it a point of emphasis. We're not going to call that or something. I can't remember now.
Well, maybe it's not reviewable.
Well, I mean, they made the call on the field and then they waved it off. They picked it up, and I can't remember. Yeah, I did. It was on, Richie, but I didn't watch it intently like I should. He's talking about Cowherd. He talked about the young hotshot coordinators becoming coaches and how he isn't a fan of it because they don't understand the nuances.
Whoa. He was a fan of it.
Cowherd was?
He was at one time, but now he's, I think, switched his tune maybe to.
Well, yeah, he was. And a good example, and and I had to look this up yesterday, and let me hold this one. This one's a good one. I'm going to go into a coach, and like some other coaches, I don't understand how they got the job. I'll be back. Be back in just a minute. Let me hold it. That's too much to open up right now.
No tease.
Untangling your headphones, finding the right remote, saying
Mike
goodbye
McDaniel
to your
never
favorite shirt
put
that hasn't
a
fit in
pad
10
on.
years. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with auto owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. Auto Owners works with independent agents who live in your community and answer when you call, so you can worry about more important things, like finding a new favorite shirt. That's simple human sense.
Call Mooney Insurance in Maiden or East Lincoln Insurance in Denver or visit MooneyInsurance.com. Times convenience stores are more than convenient. They're your neighborhood store, your store. With locations in Lincoln, Catawba, Gaston, Iredell, and Mecklenburg counties, there's one near you. Times convenience stores have the right items at the right price, from snacks, cold drinks, and light meals from the grill, and there's always a special to save you time and money. Times has what you need. Times convenience stores, there's one near you. Regardless of where you're going, there's one on your way. Remember, there's always time to stop by Times. Have you thought about when you would like to retire? One of your major assets is planning for retirement is time, and you lose a little of it each day. The longer you wait to start accumulating capital for retirement, the harder it's going to be. How should you plan for retirement? Start by calculating approximately how much capital you will need at retirement, then estimate how much you will have to put away each year. Finally, carefully choose the investments in which you will invest. Stifel Nicholas can assist you. Call Ford Rembert today at 828-624-7300. Stifel Nicholas, member SIPC, and the New York Stock Exchange. First Federal Savings Bank has been serving Lincoln County since 1940. And as it has been from the beginning, customer service is a priority to First Federal Savings Bank. They want to get to know you by name. First Federal Savings Bank has the convenience, the products, and the services that the larger banks have, but with hometown people that you see throughout your community. Stop in and visit one of their 4 convenient locations and see what First Federal Savings Bank has to offer you. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Whether it's a sit-down meal or a call-in for the drive-thru, Brookwood Cafe and Catering is the answer. A variety of meats, vegetables, and desserts cooked daily, or a hot sandwich from the grill, they have what you're looking for to satisfy your taste buds. If you need catering from 5 to 500, Brookwood has you covered as well. Stop by Brookwood Cafe and Catering at 202 Providence Mill Road in Maiden. Don't forget breakfast daily till 11 a.m. Open Tuesday 6 a.m. to 2 p.m., Wednesday through Saturday 6 a.m. till 8 p.m., and Sunday from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Call 828-428-8944 to place your order today.
Covenant Church began as a vision of just over 100 people in 1984. Since then, Covenant Church has grown and currently located at 2168 Gastonia Highway in Lincoln. The Sunday schedule includes early morning worship at 8:30, Sunday school at 9:45, and morning worship at 10:45. Their ministries extend beyond Sunday. Visit their website at www.covenantchurch.church to see all they have to offer, and better yet, stop by and see for yourself. Covenant Church may be just what you're looking for a new church home.
If you ask around, you'll find Burke Mortuary has a reputation for excellence and commitment to value. They've built a reputation of trust for more than 35 years. Burke Mortuary is proud to offer personal attention, meaningful tributes, and the area's most affordable prices. They're also proud to offer you beautiful, state-of-the-art facilities. It's the perfect place to honor your loved one. So when choosing a funeral home, the choice is easy. Choose Burke Mortuary with locations in Maiden and Newton.
In the best of times, no one is more deserving of every opportunity, encouragement, and support than the youth in our communities. Parents, teachers, coaches, and sponsors struggle to stretch their budgets to continue help. Communities need a team effort. Times Oil Corporation, a longtime member of the community, established the Times Educational Alliance Mission, or Team Foundation. Since 2011, over $125,000 in grants have been donated in the community. Times Oil and the Team Foundation are proud to be community partners.
And welcome back. Okay, I gave you the little tease. Now, as Paul Harvey says, I'll give you the rest of the story. Some of these coaches, I don't know, not that I need to know who all of them are or need to know what their background or anything like that is. But I've been impressed with Mike McDaniel. So I want to see, who is this guy? Never heard of him. And just looking at him, he didn't play. Brandon Staley, did he play? I don't think he played. Mike McDaniel never played. If you go pull up his biography.
High school?
Well, they didn't say anything about it. I can tell you he didn't play in college. He got hired as an intern in Denver with I'll have to look it up now.
How much did Belichick play?
A little bit in college. Wasn't he a lacrosse or rugby player?
Yeah, lacrosse.
Yeah. Oh, I feel great about CMC. Richie said, got to feel good about CMC. Of all the teams that I wouldn't mind seeing win Super Bowl, I'd love to see him get one.
Yeah.
Because here again, he has a whole new career that he can maybe get 4 to 5 years out of because of the way they play.
Yeah. Do you think the Panthers did him really a favor by
I think
trading?
they did him a solid.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And they didn't send him off to Siberia. And they considered, the connections that he has and his family has.
McDaniel is a Shanahan disciple.
Yes.
Mike Shanahan hired him as an intern in 2005. That was his first experience in anything at all in football. And guess where he went to college?
I have no idea.
If you can't look at him.
Oh, Stanford.
Nope. Ivy League.
Oh, an Ivy League school, huh? Harvard?
Yale. Went to Yale. He was a coaching intern for a year and then went to the Texans as an offensive assistant.
We're talking about the head coach for the Dolphins right now.
That's correct.
Okay.
And then after that, spent a couple of years with the California Redwoods and the Sacramento Mountain Lions as a running back coach.
Okay.
Then to the Skins, then to the Browns, then to the Falcons, 49ers 17-20 as a run game coordinator, 1 year as an offensive coordinator with the 49ers. That was last year, and he became a head coach.
After apparently Miami.
It said he did play football as a wide receiver at Yale with a degree in history, but he doesn't. You know how when you look him up, it gives playing career, coaching career on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
There was nothing there. You got to go hunt this in the fine print that he was a wide receiver at Yale.
Or just you could Google Yale football Mike McDaniel. And I'm sure they'll have
see if he's a letterman.
Yeah. To me, he was one of the reasons why. I went back maybe a couple of months ago when Tua had his first experience with the concussions. Mm-hmm. He came off the field, and to me, if I were the coach, and this is maybe I can't remember who said this, I would not let Tua have gone back out there because I would have told him, or I would have said, hey, if this were my son, would I want him to go back out there?
It doesn't have anything to do with it. Come on now.
We talk about somebody's life.
Come on, man.
It's not like a sprained ankle or a sprained knee or separated shoulder or stinger. Talking about a concussion. That's my opinion. But
Brandon Staley was started 2 years at quarterback for the Flyers of the University of Dayton. That's D3, isn't it?
No, they're with they're in the same league with Davidson, I believe.
He finished his
Pioneer
playing career at Mercyhurst College.
Yeah, in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
You know who's another graduate of Dayton, University of Dayton?
Dan Patrick.
Is he too? Okay. Mm-hmm. This is a famous Hall of Fame football coach. NFL.
Oh, I don't know.
Chuck Noll.
Really?
Charles Henry Noll.
I've been to Dayton. I have too. I went on one road trip with the Charlotte 49ers when I was helping with basketball. Mm-hmm. And that was the trip I got to go on to see the game inside the hangar. Yeah. You're actually inside an airplane hangar up in Dayton.
There. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Neat place.
Did you go see the Wright Brothers Museum in Dayton?
No. When you travel basketball, those are quick trips.
Quick business trips, huh? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mm-hmm. That was my first experience on a charter. And the charter that I was on was if I'm not mistaken, was a Rick Hendrick plane. And it was one of those.
Boy, you are such a name dropper.
23 25 passenger things where you had 2 down this side and 1 down this side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you widen your legs and you put your head between your legs sometimes.
We flew out of Concord, no TSA. I came from the parking lot through the terminal and threw my bag in the plane, and off we went.
Yeah.
But anyway, I digress. But some of these young coaches,
they're like you said, they're this.
Well, and
they're more worried about the play calling than anything else.
I guess.
Are they leaders of men or managers of men, or they're just more worried about play calling?
I'm just trying to figure out how do they get there. That's my question.
They must be really good interviewers too.
Well, and who was it?
They impressed some of the owners or the general managers.
There was somebody they were talking about coaching today, and it might have been McDaniel, that they were talking about what a great interview he was.
Probably McVay.
No.
Because apparently McVay rose up really quick too, and he was smart enough to hire Wade Phillips as his defensive coordinator.
Yeah. Brian Daboll, I told you this when we were at the break. I like him a lot. And he's Canadian.
Yeah, he's going to have a stroke, though. Have you ever seen him on the sidelines?
His
face gets all red and ears get all red. He's going to have a stroke.
Listen, he doesn't come anywhere close to
Mike Ditka?
No. The guy that, FCS, I think it was what I was watching. And he had already had to retire one time for stroking out. And he came back. And I cannot remember his name. And he was like ballistic the entire game, mid-50s. Then he had already had a stroke or something, and it kind of quieted him down, and that didn't last very long. And I cannot – Joe something. Link says they are cheap hire guys.
Maybe.
Link said no scholarships in the Ivy League. And they play FCS, though, right?
They do.
But there are no scholarship, like the Pioneer League.
Yes.
That's FCS, too.
It is. Patriot League, Pioneer League.
Patriot League.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It kind of blows my mind how they get enamored with these guys. And like Daboll, he spent a year at Alabama.
Yeah.
As an offensive coordinator, quarterback's coach. And then he spent 3 years with the Bills as offensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm. When they got Josh Allen, that's when he became a really good offensive coordinator.
He was an offensive coordinator with the Browns, the Dolphins, the Chiefs, spent 3 years with the Patriots as a tight ends coach. Now, to me,
is that Aaron Hernandez and Gronk era? I believe.
Let's see. That would have been 13 to 16. Yeah, probably so.
Not Aaron Hernandez, but Gronk, definitely.
Yeah. And the other side, when you start looking at sort of that pedigree, he's got 5 Super Bowl rings.
Yeah.
And I guess that would be all of them with the Patriots? Would it have to be the Patriots?
You said it was 3 years.
Well, he was with the Patriots
Twice.
Back in the early 2000s.
Okay.
Yeah. And then he was also, when he was in Alabama, that was their championship year, 2017.
Yeah.
So he's got some hardware. That's a little different to me.
Yeah.
But
he has an idea what winning looks like.
Well,
championships.
And the other side of that is what we were talking about earlier. He's got enough experience to know the little things. I know Cal Hurd, Richie was talking about Cal Hurd, I'm a Cal Hurd disciple, and Dan Patrick. Cal Hurd asked Sean Payton when he was on today, he said, now that, the last name's Keel, Jerry Keel, Jim Keel, something like that.
Is it South Dakota State? Did they win the national championship?
That wasn't him, but it was in that playoff run.
Okay.
He was with a team that was in that playoff run.
Okay.
So when you I lost it now.
Sean Payton.
I was on
Asking
Sean Payton. Cowherd asked Sean Payton, since he's considering back into coaching, what has he learned or that he didn't know from setting away from the game and watching it, so that you can watch all the fine points that when you're in the moment, whether it's clock management or whatever. And he said, and it goes back to if I'm not mistaken now, a Parcellism, that the most important thing in a game with Parcell is how many points are yards worth. Like, for example, I can't remember if he said 80 yards or 100 yards are worth 7 points. And he's talking about, and that because they were talking about things like when you get behind the chains, it's 3rd and 15 versus 3rd and 3. It's a whole different thing. He said when you're on the sidelines and you're looking at the play sheet and it's 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, you can't think because there's 6 guys in your headphones, coach, here's to play, coach, here's to play. He said when you're 3rd and 15, crickets. Nobody's got to play. That's when you need to play. Not when you're 3rd and 4. You know what you're doing there. When you're 3rd and 15, nobody's got to answer for that one. And he said being able to analyze the yardage situations is one of the things that he's picked up from watching it from afar.
Has Cowherd ever talked with Peyton about Bountygate?
No, they probably don't go there.
Okay,
That's
one reason why I would not think that he would be a good fit for the Panthers. I mean, he allowed that to happen. He allowed his defensive coaches to put out bounties on opposition. He turned his cheek.
I will ask you, do you think he's the only one who did?
I do. Buddy Ryan and Buddy Ryan's people back in the day did the same thing.
This Jerry Keel, I believe that's his name, coaches at Minnesota. I think that's right. Steven said, thank you, Steven. I'll look him up.
University of Minnesota?
No, it's there he is. Yeah. He's red in the picture. New Mexico State. New Mexico State's where he's at.
Okay.
They're moving up to FBS from FCS.
All right.
They were FCS. I mean, they were FBS because they were in the Sun Belt with Appalachian. I just never had to go there. And I didn't have to go see the Vandals at Idaho.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd had back surgery when that happened. Jerry Keel, that was him. He's 61. New Mexico State Aggies football. And he looks like he's ready to stroke out at any time. I mean, he is just beside himself. Anyway, we move on. What else have you got? I've talked the whole time.
No. I just had notes as reminders. Mainly, it's been about these coaching searches. That's all.
Milton says, I think everybody's putting bounties on. The Saints just got caught. I think a lot of teams, maybe not to the extent that the Saints were doing it.
He's an offensive coach. I didn't think offensive coaches do that. I thought only defensive coaches did that.
He didn't do it. He just didn't stop it.
Yeah, he didn't turn the other cheek.
Mm-hmm. And in case anybody missed it, you'd have to be asleep under a rock if you did. Mac Brown was in Maiden on Friday night.
Yeah, he was.
Came up to support Chris Culver in basketball. Also saw some positive reports about Caleb Farley. Be interesting to see how that goes.
Injury-wise. Recovering from injury or?
Yeah. And things look good. Richie wants to know what I think about the Dabo hire.
Offensive coordinator.
Absolutely love it, Richie, because he broke what he normally does. He found an offensive coordinator that he feels like can take him to the next level, and he made that move.
Yeah. He's Riley's, right? Isn't he Riley's younger brother, the head coach of Southern California? Aren't they relatives?
Lincoln Riley?
Yeah.
His name's Garrett Riley, isn't it?
I think they're brothers.
Okay.
I think they
I
are.
just TCU's got a good offense.
Yeah,
I mean,
they did.
Very creative.
Yeah.
And I was excited about that hire, Richie. And honestly, that's one of those they kind of kept under wraps.
They did.
You didn't know anything about it until it happened. I didn't even know Streeter had gotten canned.
That happened too really quick, right?
Mm-hmm.
This, I'm sure, was already in place.
Mm-hmm. But no, I like
who
it.
does-
Yeah, Richie said yes. That's his younger brother.
Yeah. So how does that work? Would Dabo contact who? First he tells Streeter he's
Agent.
Yeah.
It's all agent.
Yeah, through the agent.
There's no – I doubt there's any protocols like there are in the NFL and like with assistant coaches.
You don't have to ask for permission. They just do it, huh?
Well, from what
Seek
I
permission
understand,
to interview.
From what I understand, it's all done behind the scenes. The coach never gets involved. The agent takes care of it. That way the coach can give that, what's it called, plausible
Deniability. Jeez.
Coach, are you
Why can't
are you talking to the to Clemson University?
Why can't there be more?
No, I'm not. And he can say it legally and honestly because he's not. That doesn't mean he doesn't have people that's talking.
Why can't there be more transparency? All the complaints about the NCAA, and from the coach's standpoint, but they can't be transparent when they're hiring people.
Richie said they reported that Streeter firing the morning and afternoon hiring of Riley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is way done it was already in place.
Yeah. Brandon says career advancement trumps many times with anything but head coaches.
There's got to be some type of gentleman's agreement protocol where you approach a coach. No, there has to be something. I said gentleman's agreement.
Even that has gone out the window with the portal and players.
I think there's probably more now than there used to be. I think more of this wild, wild west stuff.
Oh gosh, yeah.
No, back then there was more of this than there is now. I think it's probably because of social media. It's more out there, but back then there were.
I've said this all along, and you know this. There is nothing being done today that wasn't done when you and I came through school.
No,
and I can testify to that.
I'm saying it was worse back then.
I don't know if it was worse.
There was no signing period, Lanny. There was no really.
Well, I'm just saying.
And you didn't have to, because they didn't have the machines. You didn't have to send in your signing papers or fax them in. You had players, kids that are looking to sign someplace. They would get a phone call and say, "Hey, we're outside. We're gonna come pick you up." They take them off and hijack them and kidnap them, and then sign them and right underneath the nose of another coach someplace.
My coach came to my house. We played the Shrine Bowl on Saturday. When I signed, the early signing day was the Sunday after the Shrine Bowl that year. I mean, I don't know the rules. I don't keep up with that.
But you had to sign, right? The coach would sign you, right?
Coach came to my house. I got pictures. I signed my letter of intent in my mom and dad's living room, took pictures, and put it in the paper.
Oh, there are a lot of stories.
No, but what I'm saying,
players getting kidnapped,
yes,
and not being able to show up to sign.
Yes.
And I'm saying it was worse back then than it is now.
Brandon says Juju's living in Stone Age with the gentleman's agreement. Juju has a lot of integrity and doesn't like to see it go away.
No, I'm saying that
Bob says, and loyalty is preached all the time.
It is.
To no avail, Bob. No avail.
I don't think the people that are loyal and have integrity are the ones that are not shouting from the rooftops. I think the ones that it's the old greasy wheel gets the
grease.
Yeah.
Well, the other side of it is there's another story called "Do as the preacher says and not as the preacher does." You put on that face so that you can maintain a level of integrity to the public, but go back. You've heard the old saying about a duck. A duck swimming on a pond looks so calm, but underneath the water, them feet are just going, and it's the same thing. I've said this before. And a lot of people don't like the NIL. I like the NIL because it put everything on the top of the table. Nothing is going on now that wasn't going on back then. And everything's
There's just more money now.
Everything's relative. Yeah.
Someday we need to, and a friend of mine gave me an article over the weekend about this Robert Dillingham kid, the kid out of Fred T. Ford, or Catawba County, that is now a Kentucky basketball recruit. And he's gone. He was at Combine Academy for 1 year.
Yes.
And he got hooked up with an agent, whatever you want to call him. They moved him out to California, and he was in an academy out there, and it went out of business. Anyway, a lot of seedy things
That's
going
the one
on.
where wasn't sure he was going to be able to play.
Yeah.
Because
Committed to NC State, changed it. Now he's committed to Kentucky. He'll supposedly graduate. He posted something last week. He didn't make the McDonald's All-American team, but he posted something online where he got the McDonald's basketball shirt and posted, photoshopped it over top of it saying, hey, I'm a McDonald's All-American.
The school he was at in California, that's the one they shut down.
Yeah.
The president shut it down just as the season was about to start, and these kids had to find someplace to play.
Yeah, and the owner was, what's his name? Oh, God. I can't. He's got his new name. Kanye
West.
Yeah, Kanye West.
That's right.
He owned it, yeah.
That's right.
Donda Academy. Yeah.
Yep, I remember now. I couldn't remember. It was something that didn't have anything. It was funny because it didn't have anything to do with recruiting or players or anything. It was a external social media exposure
and the kid's
from
mom
Kanye.
and relatives and family live in Catawba County. Or the kid's dad, excuse me. But it's a seedy business in some aspects.
And if you're not sure if all this is true, especially some of you Carolina and Duke fans that are so righteous, you would never stoop to that level. I've said it before. I got more things that were not totally legal from the Hill than I did from the school I signed with. And if you've never heard the stories, James Worthy, what his parents got, people that knew his family growing up in Gastonia, and how when he signed at Chapel Hill, everything changed.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
It's
it was worse
not
back
magic.
then.
It's not the tooth fairy. It's no difference back then than it is right now, except it's legal.
It's legal now, but I think people went to extreme lengths back then. As what they do now. There's some guardrails. There need to be more. Their kids are being exploited now with all this
but
NIL.
Here's the thing, and I've said this before. Guardrails, rules mean nothing to people that don't wish to acknowledge they exist. I say this about locked doors. A locked door only keeps an honest man out.
Yeah.
Because somebody that wants to break in and rob you, they could care less if that door's locked. The locked door keeps the guy out that's not sure, not willing to take that risk. And that's the difference. If it don't matter how many rules you've got, if people don't acknowledge them and respect them and know that, hey, I need to follow these rules. I'll give you one final question, and I'll stop. If you're going down the road and the speed limit's 55 and you're running 70, are you speeding?
Technically, yes.
No. Are you speeding? Yes or no?
Well, it's not black or white thing.
Yeah.
No, it is.
You're running 70 to speed. The sign, you just passed the sign that says 55. Are you speeding?
So if I'm in the right hand lane going 55 and I'm blocking traffic,
Doesn't matter. It's 70.
causing an accident.
It's 70.
Yes, you're
I mean-
speeding. Of course, you're speeding.
Not unless you get caught.
I'm saying it's not a NASCAR race.
But I'm just saying, if you don't get caught, were you speeding?
Yeah, you were speeding.
But only if it matters to you. And that's what I'm saying about these rules. If these rules don't matter to kids and parents,
well, a lot of times there are not parents.
AAU coaches and things like that, if they're willing to look the other way and stretch them as far as they can, then Well, it's no
That's
good.
where your integrity and values and morals all step in.
Well, that's
It's-
where we don't have a whole lot of that anymore.
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem. Yeah, I agree. All right, I'll quit.
All right.
Let me come off my pedestal.
Bless you, brother.
Let me come off my pedestal. So into the reading for tonight. See you in the morning.